Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a noonday broadcast where we delve into transformative dialogues about social justice and the voices leading the charge for social reforms. Here at the noonday, we explore the intersections of politics, culture, and tradition with the leaders who are reshaping our world for the better. Our noonday focuses on critical dialogues around social justice with emphasis on gender justice to influence policies and contribute to societal shifts. So, we talk about changing mind and attitude. So, this is a new day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have a special person with us, my own person, uh, who did a really groundbreaking research and work on the politics of the United States of America. So, the title of the work is Donald Trump and the Politics of Hatred. Donald Trump and the Politics of Hatred is a book that dealt into Donald Trump's rise to the presidency and its significant change in American politics. The book critically examined Trump's use of racial hate and falsehoods, particularly his promotion of birtherism against um, Barack Obama as a strategy to gain political prominence. So the author describes his book as an informed street corner perspective on a significant era in American politics. In the book, the author offers a comprehensive and informed perspective on Trump's impact on American democracy. Donald Trump and the Politics of Hatred by this author is compelling for anyone interested in American history, political science, public policy, and human rights. It is a thorough exploration of the political dynamics and racial crisis leading to Donald Trump's defeat. The author leverages his background as a veteran Liberian journalist. See, that's what I told you. That's my own person. And his insights into Liberian and American societies to draw parallels, critique, and analyze the political climate surrounding Donald Trump's presidency. The book's approach to discussing the politics of hatred and its impact on society examines this author how he addresses complex themes such as racial hate, division, and consequences in a politically charged era. The author analyzes the effectiveness of his arguments, the quality of his research, and how well he contextualizes the political climate of the time, delves into the divisive political environment that characterized former President Donald Trump presidency and the broader impact of his rhetoric and policies on American history. Donald Trump and the Politics of Hatred by this author explores how Trump's political strategies and discourse fostered or reflected deep-seated racial and societal animosities, contributing to heightened tensions and divisions within the US. So let me introduce who this author is. But before I get to him, somebody did a really interesting footnote. A retired American diplomat and former director of the United States Information Service in Monrovia, Liberia, Sarah Morrison. She drew a parallel to former US President Donald Trump gravitation towards authoritarianism and that of former Liberian President Charles Taylor. Morrison recalls the ardue experience by the independent media on Liberia's former President Charles Taylor, which involved the imprisonment of this very author of this book when he served as chief editor of the newspaper. Oops, as I've given a hint about who he is. But yeah, he was in prison when he served as chief editor of the newspaper by former President Charles Taylor, along with three other Liberian journalists. So this former diplomat refers to Liberia as a second home, and then her concern about the parallel she drew. She said the author had to act and do this work because of his experience under former President Charles Taylor. So she used the Liberian idiom that says, when snake, how they call it, when snake bites you, you see a laser or you see a worm, you should be afraid. For a person who had been bitten by a snake, anytime he or she sees the tail of a laser, such a person tends to be alarmed due to the traumatic experience of the previous snake bite. So, okay. So now I'm going to tell you who the author of this groundbreaking research is. He's Mr. No other but Mr. Joe Bartuah. Mr. Joe Bartuah is a Liberian journalist who previously served as the editor of the newspaper, a Moravia-based daily newspaper. He holds a media specialist position at Consolidated Media Incorporated, a non-profit media advocacy organization based in Boston, Massachusetts. Mr. Bartuah has also authored another book about Liberia. That one we will have him back for it. But today we're going to be talking about his groundbreaking contribution to the political conversation of the United States, which is titled Donald Trump and the Politics of Hatred. Welcome, welcome to a new day, Mr. Joe Bartuah. I went all on about you, so let the audience hear from you. Thank you for joining us on a new day today, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priscilla. You have been very generous. Since this book came out on December 23rd, 2023, uh, we have scores of Liberian journalists here, but you have taken interest in it. You did an excellent review of it, and here we are today. You are the very first uh, attempting to interview me with regards to this book. So I am really grateful to you. I appreciate your effort because as Liberian journalists in the diaspora, I believe we should be we should try to be uplifting one another, and that's exactly what you are doing. And if I can use the phrase of or the jargon of lawyers, you are doing it pro bono. So I appreciate that. Yes, Donald Trump and the politics of hatred, the racial animals leading to his defeat on November 3rd, 2020. Yeah, it's my take on American politics. Just as I indicated in the preface of the book, I am a reporter. So I was convicted by my uh, reportorial conscience that I needed to do something because what is going on in this country, or what has been going on since 2016, is, as I indicated in the book, is a seismic uh, political tremor that we all need to be associated with, or to be participants of, one way or the other, all the citizens of the US or of the world. Because whatever happens here in the United States has repercussions, implications for the rest of the world. So that's what the book is about. Um, in 2008, the United States elected its first uh, African American president, President Barack Obama, and the 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 African American population here is about 13%, and whereas the European American population is about 64%. So apparently, Mr. Trump has had ambition for the presidency for years, and he was born with a silver spoon. He's a son of a multimillionaire, or I would say a billionaire. Then he himself is a billionaire. So I think he decided, or he thought of, uh, he may have reckoned that antagonizing the first African American president who living up, who marshaled the support of European Americans, that is Caucasian Americans, so that he will get the political traction that will lead to his for him to achieve his goal to become president. So what he did was to tell the world that former President Obama was not born here in the U.S.
Okay,
So
so let me,
yeah.
sorry, I wanted to say I like the story about okay, maybe you want to lay the basics. Because I wanted you to start with Trump, former President Trump's. I like in the part in a book how you told us his background, how his father and his grandfather and then his father and then he was born out of the same and became a U.S. citizen out of the same means by which he castigate other people. But maybe lay your basics first before we come to that. Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Sorry, I wanted to jump ahead of you and start throwing questions at you. But lay your basics.
No. I thought I had a chance to go ahead. I was, but yeah, I'm ready to take your question with regards to Mr.
Okay.
Trump, former
Yeah.
President Trump. He himself has connections to immigrants, but when he was running for the presidency, he was fond of uh, basic, basically castigating immigrants. That's why I decided to check the background, and I found out that his grandfather had come from Germany, from a very small town in southwestern Germany by the name of Costa. He arrived here. He was just 16. Frederick Trump was just 16 years when he arrived here in October of 1885. So, and one of the phrases the former president and now the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party is fond of using is chain migration. If we go by that, his grandfather was also a beneficiary because his elder sister by the name of Catherine was already living
Already.
in New York City. when he decided to when
He decided
uh
to run away because he didn't want
yeah,
to.
yeah, when the
He didn't want to be a
16-year-old decided
military
to run
person.
away and come to his elder sister. But the
So tell
basic,
us, why was he running away?
yeah, at that time, we are talking about in the 1800s, Europe used to be involved in a lot of turmoil. That is frequent clashes involving European countries. It was not like it is now. So uh, during in fact, there was military conscription at the time.
Yeah.
So, and apparently, the young man didn't want to join the military. Some of his biographers said that he didn't have the physique,
Yeah.
so
He
he
was
didn't want to join the military. Now, when he was 16, it was time for him to be uh, drafted in the military, and he decided to
to run
basically
away.
run away. Beside that is his parents, Tracy Trump, the grandfather. His parents were basic, basically farmers, and there was poverty at the time. So he decided to come to the U.S. And now these days we hear chi migration. So chi migration is not a new phenomenon. Uh, the U.S. is an immigrant country. People who founded this country came from largely Europe. So uh, he came. He got here in I think October 19, 1885. He didn't have any uh, profession. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but he came. He was he had the zest for making money. He was a barber. He used his trade to to accumulate some wealth.
So he started cutting hair, no
Yes, he
extra
started cutting
skills,
hair. Mhm.
and then he didn't know English.
I don't think he knew English. In fact, one of the biographers is Glenda Blair, uh, say emphatically that the patriarch of the Trumps did not know English when he arrived here, but he made his way. That how
And
the
which
U.S.
and
Mhm.
which I think is not something to, it's not, it shouldn't be or bad, something of a mockery. But at the end of the
Yeah,
day, the way the former president was using it is why I'm trying to point that out,
yeah,
because I
not
read
knowing English.
several
English is
multiple
one
books.
of the
You need to know
yeah,
the language.
English
Yeah.
is one of the languages of the world. In fact, it will go back in history. English was not um popular as it is now.
Hmm.
Those days, when there were sometimes in ancient times when Latin, when Greek, people who knew those languages were considered intellectuals. So now, later on, the British Empire, where the Brits used to say the sun never set, became powerful before English. When they started colonizing here and there, before English became very popular.
And I
So
was going to
and
say
then
we ourselves contributing to it, because we don't want to, we let them talk us into believing our own languages are dialects, so we speak theirs. So
yeah, yes,
making
yeah.
the numbers
We,
more.
we even do that. Yes, even in our own country, we talk about tribe, and I don't use those words easily. The word like tribe instead of saying language.
Our
I
nation.
say language. If I'm a man person. I say a man language, which is popularly known as Mano in Liberia. But that comes to the point here. Uh, so what I was saying was that Donald Trump is of European American or German American
German.
ancestry. Uh, one of one of his parents, his mother came from Scotland. She arrived here in 1930 as an 18-year-old young lady. She too was a beneficiary of
Of
quote
chain
unquote
migration.
teen migration because her elder sister was in New York too, that she came to. And for those who are students of history, uh, we are aware that the 1930s uh, was the year of those were the years of depression, the Great Depression. So there was economic hardship here and there. So we can't rule out economic motivation for Mary McLeod, uh, uh, Mr. Trump's mother, migration to the U.S. at the time. But when he was running his 2015-2016 campaign, he mocked the immigrants. He said a lot of things, even when he became president.
Yeah.
There was a controversy about him using the word or the phrase whatsoever, shithole, people coming from shithole countries. So,
Can I ask a quick, can I throw in a quick question?
yeah.
Do you think that because sometimes people cover all the bitterness, the insecurity, the sense of not feeling enough by being really mean and aggressive. Do you think he's better uh and try to distance and try to make himself feel pure American if there is anything like that for white people? Because if we talk about pure American, then we'll say the indigenous. But do you think he tried to put posture like that because their country rejected him? Because in your book, you came to the point. I just want to hurry forward the story because I got
Mhm,
questions that I had a list of. But in your book, you mentioned about them going back. His grandfather or the father, when they went back to Germany, that was the grandfather, and
mhm,
then they were they were deported. They were turned back and it's like, yeah, you were supposed to pay your duty to this land, but then you ran away and went to the US. So you're no longer welcome here. And then he wrote the leadership out of the royalty, the royals of the time, but then they
mhm.
were still not allowed to stay there. So that's how they came back here, and Trump was then born here. Do you think his bitterness is partly rooted in that?
Well, it could be a factor. Yes, when Frederick Trump, the grandfather, the patriarch, came here at 16, made some money when he was like 33, I think 32, 33 years. Um, I think that was in 1904. He decided to go back to Germany. He went there, spent some time because at that time his mother was there, who would be former President Trump's great grandmother was there. And then he married, he got married to Mr. Trump's uh, grandmother, and by the name of Elizabeth. I think her name was Elizabeth Christ. And then they came to the U.S. But when they came, they didn't stay that long because the girl had come from a very small city, and coming to the U.S. was a cultural shock for her. She didn't like the place. She felt lonely, and so Fred C. Trump, no, not Fred C. Trump, Frederick Trump, the, the, the grandfather of the current former president, decided to pack and leave because at that time he had sufficient money. Beside the barber trade he was running, he left New York and went to um,
Seattle.
Seattle, Washington, opened a restaurant there. He did a lot of stuff in that place and made some money. So you just say, "Oh, I have sufficient money." Saying you are not used to this place, maybe for the love of his wife, they decided to go back home. But when they went back and decided to resettle in Germany or in Bavaria, to be specific.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the people went against them. The whole town, in fact, all his cousins went against them and said, "No, you you decided not to get in the military. You you you,
Serve your
you
country.
yeah, you betray your country.
Yeah, your
You
betrayal.
you evaded your responsibility and has come that from here. So you are no more. Your citizenship has been taken
Being revoked.
taken away. So basically, Mr. Trump's grandfather, Frederick Trump, was declared persona non grata. That how
Mm-hmm.
come they came back to the U.S. and when they arrived here, uh, 4 months later, Fred C. Trump Sr., who was Donald Trump's father, was born here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like in 1905. So if they are not deported them, uh, former President Trump's father would have been born in Germany rather than in New York City.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just wanted you to. I like that part of the book. I like the way you lay it out. But yeah, so tell us, um, share your experience as a Liberian journalist and how it influenced your perspective on American politics.
Yes, a Liberian journalist and an African journalist, and also a third world journalist, a street corner journalist. It is in the third world countries. Uh, since third world is general, let me go to Africa. It
And
is
that's
in
the other
Africa.
thing that I don't say, like third world. I don't think anybody have the right to declare where I come from as third world. I mean, so in development now, yeah, they safely say developing countries because they say they are the developed industrialized countries. So maybe, but yeah, I
Yes,
would refer to
yes.
Liberia
Maybe
as
I will
third
counter.
world,
I will counter that. We used to even hear about developed, then underdeveloped, and now as an
developing
elderly
now
guy
is
now, I know that
developing countries.
development is a continuity. So
Hmm.
development can end. So there's no. I think they are all developing countries because
Yeah.
there's no country that has developed to the extent that reached to the level where they will say that we have stopped development because development is complete. Development is a continuous process. Now,
Hmm.
what I was driving at is that we have a lot of authoritarian regimes in Africa. That's a fact. Take for example in Cameroon, where there's a guy there in his 90. His name is Paul Biya. Since 1982, that's about 42 years now. He been sitting there, and when you see a video of him when he's walking, people have to be holding him these days. Take Uganda, for example, where a rebel leader in 1986, his name is Yoweri Museveni. He shot his way to power. These few days, he just, a couple of weeks ago or months ago, he appointed his young daughter as the governor of the central bank and his son as the chief of staff of the Ugandan army. And people who know about the politics of that country are saying that he's basically grooming them for a sort of dynasty. Now, in Liberia itself, just as Mrs. Morrison indicated in her forward, I didn't know it was true. Her writing that I got to know that besides being a diplomat in the 90s, she had been a Peace Corps volunteer in the 80s.
Yeah, in
So,
Liberia.
yes, in Liberia. So, beside that, she has served in Europe, she has served in Asia, in Latin America, in her diplomatic posts. So when she's saying basically to her fellow Americans that, look, uh, authoritarianism that many of you people seem to be cheering, in a way, by implication, welcoming, uh,
Trump.
it is not like a horror movie that you will be. That's my interpretation. I'm not quoting her. It's not like a horror movie that you will just be watching from the comfort
Watching,
room, without it affecting you,
affecting you.
because
Yeah.
dictatorship is inherently insatiable. You give them an inch, they will take miles. So, my experience as a journalist in okay, I started doing the Samuel Doe time. Then, of course, we went through the Civil War, and President Taylor was elected in if I'm not mistaken, 1997, where people were dancing on the streets of Monrovia. If you kill my, even if you kill my man, you kill my pa, I'll vote for you. So, Mr. Taylor was a strong man. Yes, he's still a strong man, but he was a strong man leader. He was an autocrat because it was basically the key word in autocracy is auto, the self. Democracy is about the people. Autocracy is about oneself, to the extent that you become intransigent and you are so stubborn. If it doesn't go your way, then to hell with everybody. That what happened in our civil war. For example, when the war began, ECOWAS had drawn up a peace plan where Mr. Taylor was to be the speaker, and in 6 months' time they were to hold election. That he rejected that, and because of that, we went through all rounds of fighting. Other rebel groups came. Then, of course, when he became president, he became intolerant. He he was waging war not only against his opponents. Samuel Doki got and his family got murdered, but at some point, the newspaper, for example, was declared a dissident newspaper.
Mhm.
I came from out one evening, and my colleagues were all standing in the newsroom. They wanted to close the newsroom and leave because, um, may his soul rest in peace, the information minister then, Joe Mulba, issued a press release declaring the news a dissident newspaper. I was in Ghana at attending a media conference when some group, they used to call them those former rebels that used to, the handicapped ones, because they used to use them. They had their clutches. They attacked our offices.
Mhm.
Then on February 21st,
As
2000,
combatants.
yeah, February, yeah, the ex-combatant, the handicapped ex-combatants, they invaded the offices of the news. Then uh, 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 February 21st, 2001, I, along with Adura
They live
Ducle,
in the late
the late
Bobby
Bobby
Dobson.
Epstein, uh, Jerome Dahlia,
He was my friend.
we were taken to the, yeah, we had our stint at South Beach, the famous South Beach, Central Prison. So uh, my experience, just as Mr. Morrison said in her before, that when you have been bitten by a snake before, this country, our country, Liberia, it has a connection with the United States. Uh, we are told that Liberia was founded in 1822 by the American Colonization Society. That's what we learned in grade school. But besides Liberia, American politics affects the rest of the world. This
Well, we
country,
are I'm
mhm,
sorry, Liberia, yeah, is our first home. but we also have a second home is the United States. We pay taxes here, we live here, we
Mhm.
citizens of, yeah, so policies affect us here as well.
Yeah,
When they make you report about America, in so and so yeah, have $5 trillion in taxes. On our taxes are included because we are part of the working class. So
mhm.
social services that's supposed to come to us. I mean, I'm just buttressing your point. Don't let
Yeah,
me
yeah.
get started.
Yeah, so basically, what I'm the concern, somebody might say, "Oh, this guy is an African guy, a Liberian guy. Why did he choose to write about American politics,
Because you're
or, or,
American
or,
too.
or, or American public policy?"
But the
It's
policy affects
because
you. That's what I was
what
talking about. The
happens
social.
here in the United States affects the rest. In fact, we used to say in Liberia, when Uncle Sam sneezes, the world catches cold. Where is the headquarters of the United Nations? Where is the headquarters of the World Bank located, or the International Monetary Fund? So what happens here affects for us, for those of us who are advocate, adherents of vibrant democracy, pluralistic democracy. When something is happening in the U.S. that people seem to be gravitating to some form of authoritarianism or autocracy, we get concerned because I believe that if this democracy, American democracy, is allowed to be weakened from within, that it becomes what one Harvard professor referred to as electoral autocracy. If it becomes, I believe the global democratic movement will become somehow despondent and eventually phase out. Because when, in my case, for example, when we were sent to the central prison on frivolous uh, uh, charges that we wanted to overthrow the Taylor government. What capacity that Joe Bartuah has to? But what happened was that my reporter Bobby Tyson had gone to the finance ministry. There was a $50,000 fraud there, and we had a document on it.
I
Do
know
we
the
have
story.
Air Force in Liberia? The alibi for using that $50,000 was that there was to be a repair for helicopter. What kind of helicopter that we had in Liberia at that
They
time?
were accused of exposing national security secret.
Yeah. That was it. So when it happened, it was the U.S. Embassy or the Committee to Protect Journalists based in New York City, Reporters Without Borders, Amnesty International, these Human Rights Watch, these groupings, these advocacy groups, many of them are based in Western society. I didn't hear any call from authoritarian countries that where they have presidents for life uh, calling for our release. So the United States democracy is intertwined, either directly or indirectly, with the democracies of the world. So some of us are concerned that if this democracy, American democracy, is allowed to become a nominal democracy, it will basically eclipse, it will somehow flicker the democratic movement of the world. That is why the alarm must be raised, so that people get to know. Because many people in this country, the economy is formidable. Even those who are not working, some of the young people who are unfortunately victims of drug abuse, for example, they still find something to eat because of what is the safety net that is embedded in the system. So as a result, they are not even concerned with what's going on. If you were to hold a microphone and stand on the street and say, "Who's the president of the United States?" or "Who's the vice president?" "Who's the speaker?" If you were to ask 10 persons that are passing randomly, maybe one person out of 10 will correctly answer that question because they are not concerned with what's going on around them. So, what this book is about is to alert uh, citizens of the world, most especially American citizens, as well as Liberians, Liberian immigrants, African immigrants that reside in this country, that something is going on. Just
Do you
imagine
have
that.
do you have a copy of that of the book? Can you show it, please?
Yeah, this right here, Donald Trump and the politics of hatred. Let me see. Am I doing it the right way?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a copy there. So basically, it is an African perspective on uh, an ongoing American political discussion. Yes, we need to discuss these issues. And before the 2016 election, those issues needs to be discussed in a way where political opponents look at one another as opponents. The deliberation, deliberations were intended to sculpt, to finesse a policy for the interest of the people, in the best interest of the people. But when Mr. Trump came,
And it was
opponent,
silver.
when Mr.
It
Trump
was
got in
silver
the picture, when he got to the pedestal, opponents became enemies. Even the
enemies.
independent media was referred to as the enemy of the
Enemies.
people. Then judges were attacked. Even the intra-party opponents within the Republican Party, they were given derogatory nicknames. We heard about Lying Ted for Senator Ted Cruz. Um, uh, Florida Senator Marco Rubio was called Little Marco. So, in fact, a female presidential candidate who had been a chief executive officer of a major corporation here, Khaled Fiorina, uh, Mr. Trump said she didn't have the face to be the the president of the United States. So political antagonism or predatory politicking uh, uh, took over, and then we are getting to
And
the
common decency wasn't even, I mean, it became scarce. Like I was
yeah,
reading, I was
mhm.
rereading the part to the end this morning. I forgot my book. I just left it in my car. I realized I was about to start. I said, "Oh my God, I don't have time to run back." But on the part where you were talking about um, Mr. Trump telling what's her name, Oma. I wonder how your country doing. I mean, you or
oh oh
Congress
oh, you're talking about
eh,
the
eh,
congresswoman from Minnesota,
from
yeah,
Minnesota, and I like
Oma.
her response to him. Say,
Yeah,
my country, oh, I'm a congresswoman. I was part of us impeaching you. And then
yeah,
they were just like, there's just no making faults with little children as young as teenagers like Greta. And it just distasteful.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think 2019 July he issued one of his diatribes where he referred to my own congresswoman from my district here, Ayanna Presley, the congresswoman from Michigan, uh, Talib, and 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 AOC, Alexandra Ocasio Cortez from New York, and Congresswoman Oma from Minnesota. Basically, he said he should go back to their country, and then people said this president got it wrong because it's no one of the Congress women that was born outside of the country, but she came here when she was 8 years old.
But doesn't
And then
matter if you're born here or
when
not born here, as long as you're American, this is your country.
yeah, when the 2020 campaign was going on, I think he calculated that he Trump was to pin Congresswoman Oman, stick her to now President Joe Biden. It will be a sort of repellent for many of the white or European American voters. So he used to talk about Congresswoman Oman as if she were the presidential candidate. She went all over whether or in Pennsylvania,
Only because
in
she's
Michigan, other places.
only
He used to
because
talk
she's
about,
an immigrant and then she's a Muslim, then she's a
yeah,
woman.
okay. Those are three areas that Trump like to
Because
attack because
because
he's
he's
so
also
misogynistic.
mm-hmm,
Uh,
racist.
yeah, racist, yes. And then of course now he's saying that immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country. So
But
what?
this is an immigrant himself. Oh. Unde was born here because his father was sent back and say, yeah, declare President non grata. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So the other question that I wanted you to just unpack the phrase or the term informed street corner perspective, because I'm thinking that it doesn't go with, and I may be wrong, but I'm thinking it doesn't go well with the fact that you did research. You research from credible sources. So how come the book is then termed as informed street corner perspective? Can you unpack that?
okay, street corner is Joe Bartuah's way of expressing his humility. Um, to begin with, there's so many books that have been written about former President Trump,
Yeah.
and some of those books were written by his former officials in
Yeah,
his
people
government.
close to me. I have a
Yes,
stack of them right here on my
some of
bookshelf.
them by a well-known journalist. And this guy is a reporter. I've been a reporter for almost 40 years, but I am not one of those well-known journalists because I'm not working within the MEGA
Media.
American, MEGA American media. So, the operational word uh, paragraph in that sentence or phrase is informed, that to basically
Okay.
tell the readers or potential readers that this guy who wrote this book may not be a press secretary at the White House. He may not be somebody at CNN, but he knows what he's talking about. This guy studied political science, American studies, here in the U.S. at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, earned double bachelor degrees before earning his master in public policy and international relations. So he knows what he's talking about. But the strict corner perspective is the perspective of the majority. Former President Trump referred to people who are not billionaires as low life people. The low life people, there are about 8 billion people in the world. And most of us happen to be low life people. If you go to the White House, it's not the high life people that clean that place. If you were to travel to an airport or spend a night at a 5-star or 7-star hotel, it is the low life people that make those places decent, sparkling, immaculate as they are. So the low life people occupy a significant segment of every society. So we are our opinion, our opinions, our perspectives do matter. That's what that phrase is about. Just as I said, the operational word is uh,
Informed.
informed. Because
Okay.
people who have been, for example, part of an organization, a government, when they are writing, like they are on the defense too. You were there. If you see if you have been following somehow the trial that is going on in New York at the moment, about his election fraud case, there's a gentleman there who is the lead witness now, Michael Cohen. At one time in his life, he had a press conference where he said he could take bullet for Donald Trump. Now, later on, years later, I think that was 2018, uh, he flipped, and Donald Trump referred to him as rat. So if somebody like that were to write a book, and I believe Mr. Cohen had written, I think, 2 books, they will try by all means to 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 write it in a way to give excuse for the role they were playing prior to uh, 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 turning, uh, taking a stand, siding with the truth. So that one I call a book from a vertical uh, perspective. It's coming from above because you are being within the inner cycle, and now you are out. So you are giving your perspective. My perspective has been the layman's perspective, the the street corner perspective, where I don't have any special interest. The the foremost interest I have is that I believe this system of governance is better than others. In this country, in 1776, on July 4th, uh, even as slavery was going on, Thomas Jefferson and his colleagues gathered in Philadelphia, and they expressed their conviction, which I believe it was divinely inspired. They declare that they believe in what they call the self-evident truth that all human. Yeah, it was in Middle English phraseology at that time. They said all men are created equal, but as all human beings are created equal with some the word they used at the time, unalienable rights. So at the time where many of these people who were slave owners were convicting themselves within the public arena, saying that, look, what we are doing is implicitly wrong. That we went to Africa over the years, we have been bringing millions of Africans here, using them on our farms to create wealth for ourselves. Our collective conscience has convicted us now that we are all humans. We were created equally. We have the same right. Despite their skin being different from ours, we all were created by the same creator. We have the same right. The right to liberty, the right to happiness. So they declare that. And that what makes this country different from other countries. Now, somebody comes on the political stage and say, no, these people were wrong. So we should change that. I call them, regressive politicians. They want to change the hand of the clock to pre 1776. I, I I believe it is a tough call that will take extraordinary effort to do that because we have come a long way. There's more to be done. The the Constitution of the U.S., which was written 11 years after the Declaration of Independence, in that Constitution, the framers said uh, they they were putting the Constitution together in order to pursue a perfect union, a more perfect union. So that's the mandate to every generation, including this generation. to be making effort towards inclusivity rather than resorting to exclusive uh, politics.
Political.
Yeah, basically engaging in snobbery, where you say these people because they have this color or because they don't have this economic uh, well weather, so they are different from us. We are the elite. We're supposed to be above all the time. That what the gentleman from New York, now from Florida or Palm Beach, did here in starting in 2011. He basically declared that the gentleman, former President Obama, who was occupying the White House at the time, was not a citizen of this country. He was declaring President Obama an alien. I would say he was dehumanizing President Obama, because to declare somebody a stateless person, somebody without a state, a country in which he was born, you say no, he was not born here. It's basically dehumanizing the person. But
Yeah,
as
that's why. That's
mhm,
why when you said something about you said because these people are different, their skin color are different. I wanted to interrupt by saying I
okay,
don't think we are even considered as people. Like these people color are different. No, because someone who sees the other as people wouldn't talk about people like the way Mr. Trump, his actions, his utterances. Um, okay, because in one part you're talking about the COVID pandemic, and then this guy is saying, but the U.S. the tax on the loss of life who have been lower if you are not including the blue states, the blue like as though yeah, those are not humans. So I don't think that's someone who humanizes others. So just to say that. But tell us, where can we find the book, and then how much is the book?
I get the book is on Amazon,
Okay.
Amazon.com. It's so my two books I on Amazon.com. My maiden book is uh, an agenda for a better Liberia. Policy is a series of policy proposals that I believe if those proposals are implemented by the current government and future governments in Liberia, with the caveat that we wage a fight against corruption, Liberia could be better. And then Donald
So
Trump
you're
and
talking about your second book.
yeah, the
Actually,
second
that
book
was the
now,
first.
the
What is the
second book
title of
now,
that one?
the first book is an agenda
Show
for.
it. Do you have it?
I do have it. Okay, here it is.
Because I want
It
us to talk about it another time when you return. When
yes. Let me see. Okay, an
this way,
agenda
on
for a better
agenda.
Liberia. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
The Commerce approach to nation building. If you were to check this, you'll find series of proposals there. You know, our country. In fact, we are discussing Donald Trump and the politics of hatred. So
wait.
I won't talk much about this except to show it to potential readers.
How much is
To the
this
public.
one?
Yes, this is. I hope I'm getting the right. I think it's $20. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
on
$22 on
yeah.
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know the prices. I
Anyway,
got it.
that's not the same. When you buy something, they have to add the tax there. So so it's supposed to be $20, but when they include tax, yeah. So that's how it is. These books they are all on Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon is a global uh, e-commerce platform. You can be in Asia, you can order this book. In Africa, you can order this book. Anywhere around the world is a global market.
Okay.
Now,
How long did
this
it take you to write this one?
uh,
Yeah, they want in your hand Donald Trump and the hatred of politics.
yes, Yeah, we are still talking about this. I think I have not even talked much about the motivation. Look at
Yeah, that's
my,
where I was
my
coming. So how
hmm
long did it take you? And then I was going to say, but what motivated you to put all that time and effort? Because I know you told me all of these stories. I just want the audience to hear. So how long did it take you to do that?
uh what okay, to sum up everything, maybe 6 months. Yeah,
Okay. All right. So
yeah.
what
But
is the motivation behind it?
it was difficult to to find a publisher. You go, so you come up there's a disappointment and all those things. I had wanted to publish this book before the 2020 election,
Elections.
but then somebody whispered to me. A friend said, "Why not you wait to see the conclusion of this electoral cycle?" And at that time, we didn't even know, nobody had any clue whether like you call it, January 6th, who was uh across the horizon. So I said, okay, I will listen to you. Let me wait and see how this end. And then January 6th took place. So uh yeah, the I think the question there is, what's the motivation of an African person writing about this? I think I've addressed some of those issues, which is that what happens in this country affects, to a large extent, affects the rest of the world. So that is the leading economy of the world. Uh, for us in Liberia, you go, so you find Richard Nixon School, you find John F. Kennedy. There are a lot of American influence in Liberia, and our system of governance is inspired by the U.S. system of governance. So, and this country is so far the foremost in terms of interacting with the rest of the world, whether it is on economic issues. You have the U.S. Agency for International Development that engages the rest of the world in terms of giving uh, socioeconomic assistance. So what happens in this country um, tends to affect the rest of the world. Now, I've been a journalist for the past 39 years. My wife, Agnes, and myself came to this country with our children. Only one of them was born here. In fact, the guy who was born here has now turned 18, and he's coming out of high school. The kids we brought here have become adults themselves, and they are giving us so far 6 grandkids. The seven is on his way. So
Congratulations.
I am thinking within myself, what if in the future my grandkids begin to read about what's going on now? Because we don't know what the future holds for American politics. We have heard about a candidate who is promising retribution. We, in fact, just yesterday, I think he suggested that when he win and and spend 4 additional years in the White House, they should give him another chance for a third term. Then we heard about a suggestion that a Constitution of the United States, the Constitution that has been there since September of 1787, should be set aside. So we don't know what the future holds. But I don't want for my grandkids or their own kids in the future when I'm not here to start asking if grandpa was a journalist, why he was a reporter, why he didn't write anything about what was going on at that time. Because Priscilla, we hear about, for example, Europe in the 1930s. What what started in the early 30s went to 1939. Uh, that degenerated into what the Europeans called the Second World War. And then when we were in grade school, we had Adolf Hitler. And some of you, when you're young, you're thinking that, oh, so one man was able to do all these things. What did people were? Now I'm old enough, I know that in those circles, in the political circles, there are enablers, people who help, people who prefer to be
Silent.
subservient, who are not themselves, who won't have the courage of Senator Mitt Romney of Utah, for example, to say the truth. So they prefer to be to follow the sycophantic path. So people like that, they are born in the society because they want to be within the orbit of power forever and forever and ever. You have people who will say, "I'm out today," and tomorrow they are in Mar-a-Lago shining somebody's shoes. So people like that exist, and I felt that I should do something about it. I should give my take on it. I'm not only a reporter. I've been a columnist, opinion writer, since consistently writing my new thinking column since 1995. That's about 29 years now. So if you and I insist that every one of us, or almost every one of us, based on one's capacity, if you are a writer, you are a musician, you are a comedian. In fact, one of those comedians, he was at the White House correspondent dinner the other day, and one line that he put out there that resonated with me was, "Nothing makes sense these days." That's Colin Jost. And when he said it, I was sitting down here watching. I said, "Yes, that's true," because when things turn, when the societal the values are turned upside down, it like nothing makes sense these days. That's true. Nothing makes sense when what used to be considered appalling, outrageous, is
Unacceptable.
yeah, it becomes acceptable, normalized, is applauded these days. Nothing actually makes sense these days. Nothing makes sense when criminality is considered, quote unquote, a badge of honor. How would things make sense when the Speaker of the United States, yes, I started watching Speaker here, this state I'm in, I'm sitting out in Boston now. There was a speaker here called Tip O'Neill. He used to be a formidable politician during the time of Ronald Reagan. You see a speaker of the United States by the name of Mike Johnson going to court in New York to be to try to show up or cheer up a defendant who is in court for a porn star episode. So how would one say that something is making sense? But our concern should be mainly about where does it end? So how we can resist, how we can try to follow the path of democracy is for those who are citizens of this United States to continue to vote for Democrats, for democracy, for democratic pluralism, for democratic vibrancy, rather than embracing maybe expediently embracing authoritarianism. I don't think that's the best path, because in Europe, I believe, in Germany, I believe when Hitler was coming to power, I believe there were people there who were sounding the alarm, who were saying that this path this man is trying to convince us to follow is not the right path. So based on experience, uh, a historical experience, what we are read in history, even uh, 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 the, the the situation with leading to the Second World War was most recent, because it was like maybe 78 years ago. But if you go in ancient history, the Roman the Roman Empire, it began to be weakened when it was polarized, it was factionalized by people who did not look at the bigger picture. So the book is an appeal
Okay.
to the citizens of the world to look at the bigger picture. The bigger
Okay.
picture is to ensure that good governance, accountability prevail. When the American colonists rebelled against the British crown, it was because the monarchy under King George III was more powerful at the time. And the young king was basically suffocating the American colonists. And so they decided to take the law into their own hands by rebelling. George Washington and others decided to go against the will of the British monarchy, the imposition of the British monarchy. So I don't think it was intended. I don't think the revolutionary leaders of this country, the founding fathers of this country, took the risk, sacrificed so that 250 years or so later, so that an authoritarian beach hair will be mounted on American soil. So the best way is the democratic path. That's what this book is about, and I didn't want to be left out.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So how has the response been since the publication of this of your latest work? Because I know the first one was the agenda, the one on Liberia that we'll talk about when you return to a new day. But for so the second one is the one on Donald Trump and his hatred, his politics of hatred. How has the response been since the this book came out?
Okay, the book came out on December 23rd. That's the time I received email from Kinder Publishing, the publisher, that the book was out now.
Mhm.
But yes, it is still mixed. We are yet to fully assess the response, because uh, to be honest, you are the very first uh, doing an interview besides the because when I received the email, then I issued um, a press release which was published, I think, on December 28th in
Mm.
many Liberian newspapers. Since then, you are the very first person in terms of whether
Oh, I'm
print
glad.
or broadcast journalist.
I'm,
Um,
I'm glad.
yes,
I'm glad.
yeah, and I guess as I indicated from the onset, you are being very generous to me. You did the first review. I make contact with at least three colleagues, Liberian colleagues here, to help me review it, because you can't go around blowing your own trumpet. You write a book, then you review it yourself. Uh, but we are all busy in this place, so I believe they are not had a chance yet to do that. But you went ahead and but Priscilla, in the end, what a reporter. what every reporter yearns for is a byline. Yes. We would have known that in the 1500s, uh, there was a man in England by the name of William Shakespeare. If his byline had not been on his work, some of those works were published uh, after his passing. So I am grateful to the Lord that American publisher uh, they welcome my manuscript, and they felt that it was worth being published, and it is now out there. It has been basically immortalized. And if I have the strength, God's willing, I I'm likely to follow up with another publication. This time,
Oh,
it might be on the current uh, president, so that the contrast will be indicated. Yes, because this gentleman, yes, he's the oldest guy occupying the Oval Office, but since he came uh, to power on January 20, 2021, he has been formulating, implementing future focused policies that will positively impact uh, global citizens, especially American citizens, uh, even long after he is out of power. Take, for example, the student loan forgiveness that he introduced, which was challenged by some attorney general of the Republican Party, or capping essential medications for diabetes and other ailments, which I currently sold in excess of $2,000 to $35. So he's doing a lot. And if I have the chance, I have the strength, I will try to compile my thoughts on President Biden. Of course, when we get to the political realm now, he named the first female vice president, who happens to be a black,
a person of color.
an African American vice president. So like
Which
he was using one stone. If I can use this African parable, he was using one stone to kill two birds, two crucial birds. So he's doing a lot, because when the COVID-19, for example, struck, we were told that it was like the flu, and as soon as the summer of 2020 came around, it will, to use the phrase, it will disappear. And what the veteran journalist Bob Woodward uh, reviewed to us in his publication, in his book later, was that which came yeah, was that he had actually interviewed the President Trump at the time, and President Trump had told him that the virus was ferocious. When Trump was telling the public, giving the public an alternative truth, that, oh, this thing will soon fizzle out. It's like a flu. It's not anything uh, so deadly. But when President Biden came, took over, he introduced the American Rescue Plan. I think it was in excess of 2 trillion at the time, but Congress reduced it to 1.9 trillion. And then out of that American Rescue Plan, they set up testing centers throughout the country. They were testing and free vaccine. And here we are today. A lot of jobs have been created. More than 15 million jobs have been created since the Biden era. So there's a need to give some contrast, to highlight some contrast in that regard. But that one is still
in the
not yet.
works.
Yeah, it's still being um, prepared. It's not yet what just I've been saying, when former President Trump, as a private citizen, told the world that President Obama was not born here in the United States. He was a private citizen then. Many people have not known much about him. We didn't know that there's something you call alternative truth. Now later on, when he became president, even his the crowd at his inauguration, he disputed that. He sent Sean Spicer, the, his press secretary at the time, to dispute the press account that there were more people at Obama's inauguration than his. And then 2 days later, his counselor, Councillor Kellyanne Conway, appeared on TV and said there are facts, and then there are alternative fact or alternative truth. Now we know, yeah, we now know that there are alternative truths that
it's
that can
it's the
be
same.
that can be different from reality.
Real.
The, the
Is
2020 the 2020 election was held. President Biden won by with more than 7 million votes, and then we heard that he said that the election was rigged, and that became alternative truth. Saying alternative truth, what has been happening is it has been eroding the value system as we knew it from the onset, as we have known from time immemorial.
yeah. The
Things
same
that.
thing is,
Mhm,
is honor him that the oxymoron fake news is, I think,
mhm,
even popular to
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
to
even
erode
something that
credibility of the media, because
yeah.
I know is news is a true thing. So to say fake, if something is fake, then it's not news. So something cannot
Mhm.
be fake and be news. But now, people run with a fake news, and then when people tell me that, I'd be like, then it's not news. We don't have to be running with everything Donald Trump say as though it's grammatically correct. But yeah, it's just all part of what you say to, and casting aspersion on the media, especially when he started referring to the media and as enemy of the state or of the people, the media that does not report the way he wants, and how Morrison drew the parallel, um, with your experience with former President Taylor, that is, if a president start referring Joe Bartuah as a member of the Fourth Estate, experience this. And so if a president start referring to the Fourth Estate as branding the Fourth Estate as enemy of the state, this is someone to be afraid of. This is so tiring, because
Mhm.
the media is indispensable for any working democracy. I think in the constitution of this country, I think the press is the only entity that is actually named, because without the press, um, the people cannot be informed. And that's
Mhm.
some of the reasons why he's on trial now, that you
Mhm.
withheld information that would have informed the voters to make the to vote. So whether they were going to vote for you despite the fact that you slept with a porn star or not, they needed to know that you. But anyway, there's just a lot to talk about. But I will let you wrap up, tell us if there is something that I missed. You already say, I want people to be informed, to get concerned that this democracy, we need to hold it up. But if there is something else as we wind down, just send us home.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just as I've been saying, yeah, thank you for this. It is an ongoing discussion. I hope that this won't be my last time. But since
Mm-mm.
I'm on the new day, uh, I will, I will think about. I think that's chapter 11 of the book, which discusses Trump's attack on Hillary Clinton. And not only Trump's attack, But the how former Secretary of State Mrs. Clinton was treated at the time, even the ongoing trial in New York, that Republican lawmakers are now going to basically showcase themselves, wear navy blue, white shirt, red tie. I don't know whether former President Trump prescribed the dress code. If people are going, to court to cheering up, uh, I don't know whether he prescribed it for them or they want to just please the dear leader, if I can use a North Korean phrase. It is also related to the 2016 election because Mrs. Clinton was treated brutally, savagely at the time. I can remember that was in August of 2016. Uh, the Inquirer magazine, which was not is not a mainstream magazine, came out with a blazing headline that Hillary Clinton had 6 months to live, that she was suffering from uh, debilitating diseases, multiple sclerosis. So, and she had a stroke. So she had only 6 months to live. And at the same time, uh, the publisher, David Pecker, now it has been revealed that he entered into what they call a cash and kill agreement with the Trump campaign or with Mr. Trump, so that anything negative about Mr. Trump that somebody would carry to the gossip tabloid will be accepted, paid for, and then not published. Why they are not publishing it, then while they were not publishing it, they were publishing all kinds of negative stories or manufactured stories about Mrs. Clinton. Then, of course, on October 28th, 2016, the then FBI director James Comey came out with another opening another frontline offensive frontline against Mrs. Clinton's campaign by saying that uh, he will launch an investigation to see whether Mrs. Clinton's uh, personal assistant, um, Oman Abedin, whose husband, unfortunately, the congressman at the time, Anthony Weiner, has sent uh, a lewd picture of his private part to a 15-year-old that he thought was an on an adult that he was maybe doing online dating with. And because that James Comey letter to Congress saying that investigation that had been concluded about Mrs. Clinton's uh, private email server will be relaunched 10 days to the election. Many people thought that it was a political, the Clinton campaign was a political sinking ship, that Mrs. Clinton will imminently be arrested for criminal activities, for exposing uh, uh, classified document or state secret. Here we are now. It didn't happen. It was only after, on the eve of the election, that Comey King and said they didn't find anything. But at that time, the damage had been done.
Yeah,
And
it was
yeah,
this guy that
and at that time, Mr. Trump was on the campaign trail saying that we will not allow Hillary Clinton to carry her criminal scheme to the White House. Here we are.
they mounted
Uh,
a pressure on him.
Here we are in 2024. 91 indictments so far. Some more may be coming in Arizona. Uh, so, and then we specifically on classified documents. Classified documents were found in restrooms in Mar-a-Lago. This one, it was not anything speculative like James Comey speculating. So for those of you who are at New Day, you will have to make some commentaries about the double standard when it is a female politician versus a male politician. Up to this time, I still wonder, would Mr. Comey, the FBI director, would he have been so brazen at that time to open a new investigation if it had been the 2016 campaign had been two involved two male candidates? It is difficult to know, but that's what he did, and then he helped. But what is so peculiar about it also is that later on, he himself, Mr. Cummings, revealed that within that same time, the FBI was conducting a counterintelligence investigation of the Trump's campaign involvement with Russian intelligence officers. But this did not come to the public. It was only because Mrs. Clinton had Ms. Umar Abede as her assistant, and her husband had sent a sex solicitation to an underage person. They used that as an alibi. Beside that, or moreover, when females are involved in political activities, they are uh, they're scrutinized. They're overly scrutinized by their. They tend to be scrutinized by their by other women in the society. If, for example, a male presidential candidate went somewhere to campaign without a tie or shabbily dressed, the same female potential voters who will go there and be applauding that candidate when a female presidential candidate appears at a rally, they will come from there and talk about, oh, she didn't even face her hair, she didn't do this. So the playing field is yet to be level. I know that in 1776 they said all men. They didn't say all human. All men are created equal. Women were not allowed to vote in this country until the 1920s. It took a long time, but now here we are. People are coming. People who tag themselves conservatives are coming with all kinds of extraneous laws to restrain, to put women in a straitjacket. So women themselves should see the bigger picture and try to help one another. If, for example, people are passing law on abortion, for example, which really sometimes they don't even take the doctor's opinion into consideration. They pass a blanket law. Okay, after 6 weeks, no abortion. And women don't know anything about what go on in a woman's body when they are pregnant. Sometimes some pregnancy can be potentially precarious. But politicians go out there, they want to showcase. And now the history of abortion law in this country or abortion advocacy in this country is that before 1973, when the Supreme Court came out with that decision that women have the right to, they have the liberty uh, to have access to abortion. Before then, segregation was the main point of contention in this country. School segregation, public transport segregation. It was what the Republicans were claving onto at the time. That's the one they were advocating. Then Martin Luther King Jr. and his collaborators came strongly protesting against it. And later on, in 1974, when schools buses were desegregated, saying that whether you're black or white, not only Caucasian people supposed to sit down in the front of a public transit system. Then they introduced abortion as a new point of convergence among themselves. And they felt that they still feel that when they try to Talibanize women's rights in this country, then European American voters will come their way. So women should see the bigger picture. Women of all voting blacks, all social economic categories or stratification should see the bigger picture when politicians are looking for some alibi, some point of convergence, point of attraction. Some of these people, they say these things publicly, but they don't really mean it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, like you said, this is not a one-day conversation. We'll continue to have these kind of discussions. I agree with you. We continue to do our little parts in each person in our little corners of the world. Um, so yeah, our new day has been we've been facilitating these kind of conversations through writings, through the means that we're having now. We've been contributing to the national discourse of this country. So I just wanted to say, on new day when I started and said is for changing mind and attitude, I wanted to add that for me the obvious reason why I wouldn't refer to this great work that you've done as an African perspective, but I can't take that away from you as the author. I think that is a good fit for a new day platform because I am telling us that we need to shift our mindset and attitude. The obvious reason why this I would not refer to this kind of conversation as an African perspective is because I think I have an equal stake in the politics of this country. If I
Mhm,
live here, you see, you were talking about your children you brought here, and then the number of grandchildren you have here. So
mhm.
if you having a take on a conversation of this country, I think I would see it as an American having an a take on the conversation on the politics of America. I mean, you unless you
Yeah.
don't to consider yourself as American, but I wouldn't want to buy into the conversation of the kind of Donald Trump then kind because that would be feeding into people who think that people who don't sound and look like they are outsider. And
Mhm.
I've been, yeah, I you talk in the atmosphere. It's been for a few years. When I speak in the atmosphere, yeah, I say I'm not an outsider. I contribute to the growth of this nation. I'm an insider. I mean, it
Oh yeah.
doesn't matter how somebody will see me. That's why when I go into spaces, I'm not saying all the time I'm confident, but I start from within by telling myself I belong here. The place that I work, they know me for that. In spaces that I go into, I belong here. I'm an insider. When Patricia Wesley addresses that most times when she do her post, Americans we come in different shape and form. We sound different. We
That's
look
true.
different. So that would be my perspective. It
Hmm.
may
Hmm.
not be a white American perspective, it may be a Liberian American perspective, but that is my perspective as a resident of Arizona and of the United States, the person or somebody who contribute to the missionary of this nation through my taxes, through most of us spending the best part of the prime of our life um, by working in this place,
Hmm.
working,
That's
uh,
true. We are an integral part of this society. You know, what you're saying. It reminds me about uh, Reverend Jesse Jackson's speech in 1988 at the Democratic Convention in New York. at the time. In the 1988 primary, he had come second. So, and of course, second in that, and Massachusetts governor then Mike Dukakis came first. So when in his speech as the second president during the convention uh, to rally the Democratic Party, he made a statement that Dukakis' ancestors came here on an immigrant ship, and my ancestors came here on a slave ship. But tonight, we are on the same boat. And Jesse Jackson, it is even on YouTube if you want to watch it. Uh, Being an orator, that speech was so powerful that people were sharing tears.
Yeah, because
So,
otherwise, then you feed into what Donald Trump would tell
mhm,
Representative Congresswoman Oma, like, how is it doing in your country? It
mhm.
doesn't matter whether I was born in Somalia,
Yeah,
it is from the United
the
States. I get
diversity,
to
the
impeach you.
diversity, yeah, the diversity of this country is one of its unique powers. That's why
Yeah,
the largest country on earth is Russia. Russia is almost two times the size of the United States. But check their GDP, for example.
yeah,
Check how many billionaires in Russia and compare that with those in the United States, whose economy is actually moving forward and which one is going backward. It's because this country uh, cherishes diversity
yeah.
and past president of the 46 presidents that have been here in the United States, 45 of them applaud diversity. It is only one who traffics in snobbery, who believe in stratifying the society to put certain people at the lowest stratum. So it is true. Why since 2001, 2021, January 20, the U.S. economy is taking an upward swing, despite the fact that it is just emerging from the onslaughts of the global of the pandemic. So diversity uh, is a strength of any society. That's what I think that one of the underpinnings of President Biden's uh, uh, appointment, whether that's judges, cabinet positions, various capacities, you can see diversity there. Not only that he appointed, he named a black woman as his running mate, but later on, when he became president, he appointed the first cabinet secretary of the first Native American as a cabinet secretary, for example. So uh, to engage in snobbery, these people don't belong here. They are not part of us. They are low life people. That's just alternative fact. It is maybe joking of autocracy, but it's not uh, part and parcel of vibrant democracy.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So I was just trying to make the point that that's why we're having this conversation. It's part of a new dimension, changing mind attitude. How do
Hmm.
we see ourselves? Outsider. I mean, I love Liberia. Oh, any day. Liberia is my country.
Hmm.
So we're so vested in the politics back home.
Hmm.
Diaspora Liberians are so, but we also have a stake here. So how can we discuss our contribution? That's why you were invited here today. So yeah, I get the part about talking about Hillary Clinton and what she went through. But a new day is to have conversation on these kind of social issues and to talk about politics, things that have us to reflect to
Mm-hmm.
on the way we on our perspective. In any form and shape, conversation here can cause a shift
Mm-hmm.
for our mindset is what this
Mm-hmm.
platform is about. I mean, and
Yeah.
I like that you said in the future you think about doing something on the current president,
Mm-hmm.
something to so that it can balance it. Because I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say this is not about advocating. This is not about campaigning
Mm-hmm.
for Joe Biden.
No.
No, all of them, all of them
Mm-hmm.
they just use different rhetoric
Mm-hmm.
which is politically advantageous for them. So like you
Yeah.
said, not that people who really concerned about the ordinary people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the sad truth, and it is by design that the United States decide to have just two persons. So
Mm-hmm.
because we're talking about Donald Trump accesses doesn't mean that for me, I'm advocating for Joe Biden. It's just that the United States does not give you other options. This is a country that's supposed to be great, but then gives you only two persons. It's not by accident.
Well,
It's not by
uh, uh, uh,
accident. It is by
I, I
design.
I think RFK Jr. is there as an alternative now. Um,
Yeah, but the point is, this is a huge country with funny things that they have multiple choices when it comes to
mhm,
making money. So something to decide the fate and the well-being of citizens for it to be limited to two or three persons is by design. My point is that we're not advocating for this is not what I invited you for, and I don't think that's what you're doing.
no,
No, I don't think that's what you're doing. So again, going back to my point, yeah, all of them are the same. They just use different rhetoric as is if it suits them. So most of these people are rich people who really wouldn't have the experience that the ordinary person has,
mhm,
but they want things to remain the same. They
mhm,
just every few years they just change the name from Republican, and then they shake hands, they have late disagreement, they show all that. They just see for me, just part of the politics, and then the other group go in. But essentially to keep the economy the same for the ordinary working person to be struggling. I don't see really much difference in how they try to work to fill the inequality gap. So I just putting that disclaimer out there that this is not about promoting Joe Biden. This was
no,
because one somebody who became the president was really like Joe stated in his book, supposed to be a leader who's supposed to uh, play a major role in shaping public discourse on race and inclusivity was using politics to divide the country, and I thought
mhm,
that was a a good discussion for him to weigh in on, as somebody who and I come from the same school of thought. We all from the journalistic background, and then we're all from Liberia, and that really made me excited about the fact that he thought that no, I have a say in this because one day my children will ask me. So that's what I thought to bring you on. But it's not about lifting Joe Biden or and coming to go back and forth about no, don't vote for Donald Trump. Go ahead and vote for whoever you want to go vote
yeah.
for.
The main
But
thing there is two professors from uh, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. They wrote a book. The title is "Why Nations Fail." That book came out in 2012, and in that book they talk about every country in its history can come to what they call critical junction, or critical juncture. And when you get to that critical juncture, it depends on what you want to do, either to take a new course or to go backward, and that would determine the the future or the socio-economic political fate of your country. And they cite different examples uh, in our book. So at this time, I'm one of those who believe that this great country is at a critical juncture to make a choice, to look at every voter need to look at a bigger picture.
And
That
also
might,
other people who don't feel like they should be voting to start paying attention.
yeah.
So yeah, this
So
is what this is
you
about.
touched on a couple of things that one of which is for Liberian diaspora participation uh, in we are already involved in the economic activities of this country, and so we
So
you
don't
know
sit on the fence. That's
last
all. There's no
last year when you and
accountability.
myself attended the journalist conference in Minnesota, I applauded the our leaders invitation to the state representative from was it Montana? I think so. Um,
There were a few of
Miss
them.
Yeah, Miss Rich, who was our keynote
Keynote
speaker.
speaker. Yeah.
Yeah, we here in Rhode Island too. A Liberian was elected there as state representative, and in that Montana area too. At some point, yes, by a Liberian was elected uh, mayor of one of the cities there. Then in Minnesota now, I think I heard that the former councilman, uh, Mr. Rosser, I think Winfred Rosser,
Mhm.
I learned that
Russell.
he's running for state rep position. So we need to applaud them, promote them, encourage them, and also encourage other Liberians who may have the ambition, the capacity to not sit on the fence, be an integral part of the American body politics. Because for those of us who are older, in the 70s, we used to see the Vietnamese. They used to call them the boat people. Behold, at that time, some of us were young. We didn't know the impact. Behold, we ourselves were to be refugees, flushed out in neighboring countries across West Africa and other parts of the world. And now later on, I got to know that during the Vietnam War, things were tough. That's why they became, some of them became the boat people at the time. But since they arrived in this country beginning in 1975, they have been playing their role to the extent that they are all embedded in the socio-economic development of this country. Uh, there were some Liberians here before I got here in 2001, July. But the idea of the people staying does not suffice here.
No,
If you
that
have the
and
capacity,
that's my point. That's why on
yeah,
you they call you on.
yeah. So
So
if you
it's
have the
all about the
capacity,
thing.
you have the means, and you think you have the support, uh, get in the ring. Don't sit supine and say that
Yeah,
people stink
yeah, and
because
also you don't have to go for political office. You can do just what you did. That's the same
yeah.
being a part of
Hmm.
it.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
we all should try to finesse our calling, our profession, uh, whatever whatever sphere of life, whatever corner you find yourself in, play your role, be exemplary, so that people will say, "I saw a Liberian in this place, a Liberian American in that place, and what he or she did inspire me." So that's let me use this forum to appeal to every one of us, and also to our members of the Inca fraternity. There are a lot of writers here that try to come together. We go for Agile conference, and sometimes you anticipate seeing some prominent Liberian journalists. You may not be engaged in active journalism now, but this profession has been a conduit through which you got to this place. For most of us, you made your initial contacts, and you were able you went through the networking process through the journalism profession. So it will be better we come together, not only when things get tough before we go to identify with one another. So that's my appeal. Thank you so much, Priscilla, for this forum. I actually appreciate it because for me, I don't go around actually calling people. I want to appear on your program. I If someone feel that Joe Bartuah
Something to say, something
is
worth
able
listening to.
to be has something to say that is contributory to uplifting uh, our fellow men, and you invite me, what I've not done even in Liberia or he being here is that once I have the chance, I don't refuse an invite to be on people's program. But at the same time, I don't go calling people here and there. Oh, why you can't invite me to your program? Oh, I want to be on your program. No. So this book came. We publicized about it 2023 November December 23rd, and there are some colleagues I work with in the past. Some of them have talk show here, but maybe they are too busy uh, to even invite me on their programs. And I believe that your invitation that brought me here today maybe will be the trailblazer for somebody somewhere to say, oh, yeah, I know Joe, the old man myself used to be working together in the past. He wrote something. Let me try to call him so that we discuss that. Because this is very significant. There's so many platforms these days. So when we have ours, we should be able to promote one another, and I think that would be the best course of action. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you are always welcome on a new day, as I could try to drive home. A new day is where we have conversations about to elevate our voices and actively participate in shaping a world where social justice isn't just an aspiration, but a reality. And the topic that you discuss, again, I want to register to people, this was not about vote Democrat or don't vote Republican. This was about a world leader in a country that we live, in a country that we contribute, who was dehumanizing people like us. And that's part of social justice. It made us feel unsafe because citizens have contract with government to keep them safe, to provide security. There were times, yeah, honestly, between me and you, I used to worry about um Africans or African Americans, I mean, from people who sound like me, from the
Mm-hmm.
continent, or
Yeah.
people who look like me, that black people, that gathering. I used to be like, some of these people, they listening to this kind of raw hatred. Why if they go to church? Because we like to gather at church places also and throw
Mm-hmm.
bomb there. It used to, because the vitriol, it was emboldening people to start hitting other people. I mean, it's not that people didn't hate people, but it was kind of giving people the bravery to go out and do stuff. So at one point I started getting scared. Every time people go to church, I say, "Hey, girl," because we heard when somewhere nationalists went to a black church and left for bomb there, and the little girls died,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
had to go there.
yeah.
So those
In the
thoughts
sixties.
used to go in, those thoughts used to play in my head. So maybe I was being paranoid. But I mean, the kind of politics that was coming from the immediate past president of this country, it really was worrisome. So to have a fellow Liberian and then, a senior colleague write about that, I was so excited when I saw that work. So I thought to invite you here and say, hey, we all have a stake in a society. So let's get out of that mindset. I say it's the people thing. Let's just work and send money to take care of our people. Library is our home. Well, we live here, so let's try and start reorientating. If you haven't been, I'm not saying other people don't think that way. I'm saying if that has been your mindset, maybe you need a rethink. So that's what a new day conversations are about, for rethink, for shift in mindset and attitude. So thank you for staying with us today, and thank you, Joe. We'll call you back for the other book, but thank you for spending your being generous with your time and staying with us today. Thank you, viewers, for staying with us as well. Join us next time on a new day as we continue to explore and advocate for social reform. Remember, change begins with a conversation. Let's make every day a new day for progress. Thank you for tuning in and look forward to seeing you in the next episode. It's a
Thank
new
you.
day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks,
Yeah.
Joe. Take
Mhm.
care. Bye
Okay.
bye.